What up,
What's
everybody? This is SafeWord. Woo! Welcome to your favorite Friday Lives with your favorite crew. You know what SafeWord is. It's our platform for teaching, learning, and opening the eyes of our audience to the world of kink, BDSM, and
relationship?
Yes.
I'm your host, Mr. Kane Marcos.
And I am your second host, Orora Storm.
And it is your favorite co-host, Miss Sasha Lencher.
So, if you saw this last week's video, you know what's going on. And if you didn't, well, you're here now. So, and that's what's important, right?
Yes.
So, Miss Sasha.
Oh, well, since you're here, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. I'm used to it being longer, my bad. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button for more educational content around kink, BDSM, and relationships. My bad.
Just so you know, Miss Sasha is not completely off because I usually go on a long spiel. Kane holds up a timer, you know, the whole nine. And I'm like, the link and blah. But I think y'all know what to look in the description box below. There was no video this week. So, yeah, check that out because it was actually a very cute little animated thing to let you know.
It was great.
There was no video.
And that was amazing.
Before we go any further, we need to say hello to our A1 since day one, Mr. Roy. So, can everybody say hello to our favorite fan, our fan favorite? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hey,
Roy.
Hey, Roy.
Yeah, I'm all over the place tonight. It's gonna be fine. But if you want to shout out like Mr. Roy gets on like every single live, it's because he rocks with us for every single live. He's there for every single video. He knows what's going on. He's a part of the Patreon. So you don't be like Roy. You get your shout out. It's that simple. So
hold on, I have a message for Roy.
Oh, okay.
I haven't forgot about you. Hey, Roy. Okay.
Hey, Roy. Right? You know, because he wants those personalized shout outs.
I forgot about you, man. I'm coming. I miss Sasha
here for you. Sorry. She here for you. And Mr. K is checked out. All right. So, but we're gonna let you know what you're watching. Ready? This is SafeWord. And here on SafeWord, we have a SafeWord of the day. We use this SafeWord to stop, halt, and completely put a pause on all topic of conversation. So, crew, would you like to let everyone know what the SafeWord of the day is? If you don't know, let me move my hair out of the way. It's right here on the board. Oh, hold up. Let me move this down so y'all can see it. There's a Z in there. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Zoltan. Yes, and here at SafeWord we use Zoom. Sometimes Zoom has audio issues. So if you are saying the safe word of the day and no one is shutting up, because that's what it's supposed to do, it's supposed to stop everything, just halt it, right? So if you're saying it and no one's shutting throw your hand. What do? We throw up a symbol, hands up. Hey, all right, ready? SafeWord crew. We throw up the symbol right here. Make sure that you say the safe word of the day so that everybody knows what it is, which is Zoltan. And Mr. Kane, we come to your most favorite part of the show where Sasha introduces you. So, Kane, do we have Miss Sasha?
Hot topics.
Hey.
This is running so off.
It's great.
It's fine.
It's going so off.
You better get on this choo-choo train, child. Come on, choo-choo.
Oh my God. All right. So yeah, we do have
we have energy.
Oh God, too much. All right. So I do have a hot topic to bring tonight. I had some other stuff, but as soon as I ran into this, I was like, nope, that takes the cake. That wins. We gotta talk about it. So, as if, like the year wasn't bad enough and everything, did you guys know that there's a rare STD that actually eats the flesh away around your genitals?
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's like sexually transmitted gangrene.
Dang, no, I didn't know that. You be bringing the stuff that be sad or scary.
Yeah, why you always gotta
scary?
Why can't it be happy news? Damn.
Brother Dom came. Can you just be like
we talk about facts. Like all right, fine. You know what?
Okay,
Never mind, guys. It's still silly.
Okay,
No,
flesh
you
eating
guys are
genital
good.
virus.
Have at it. Go
Bring us
for
your
it.
facts. Bring your
I ain't warning you guys this shit. Figure it out.
We gonna safe word ourselves, Sultan.
Go ahead, Brother Kerry.
No, so I read this, and like I said, I mean, it just took the cake. It was something that I had to bring to everybody's attention, whether you knew about it or not. I was just like, oh, holy shit! Like, I can't believe there's actually something like this out there. So it's called Donovanosis, and I feel bad for the first dude, Donovan, that they named this after. So originally it was mostly common in like India and South Africa. And I guess that's why like it didn't really, nobody else really knew about it because it was kind of centralized to just those areas. But now they're starting to have cases in like the UK, in England, in New York. So yeah, watch yourselves. This thing, from what I can tell, it's just all bad. So it's transmitted by contact. So it's not even so much sexual contact, like even penetration. It could just be from heavy petting, it sounds like.
Oh God, excuse me, say what? No.
Wait, what?
Just contact.
Brother King contact at all?
So it's like a MRSA. From what I can tell, it's like MRSA, but it's kind of centered around the groin and the genital area.
Okay.
Causes skin to decay, and it has to be treated quickly. That's the other kicker. Like, it's not something that you can kind of sit on, like most of these guys, when they tie a padlock to their nuts. I'll give that 2 months before I go talk to a doctor about this.
Because essentially it's eating away the flesh-eating virus.
Watch last week's story.
Oh yeah. There's a couple of them we've covered, but honestly, this is a piece of a hot topic that I like enjoyed because you need to know. The more you know. The more you know.
So this STD, you can tell you got it because it creates lesions around the groin and genital region, which can become foul-smelling ulcers if left untreated. So yeah, I mean, it keeps getting better and better.
What's the name of this? Do they have
Donovanosis.
Donovanosis.
So it's crazy, and I'm not knocking it. It's not a negative statement to bring up, but I find it like cool yet kind of odd when people name like diseases or things after people. Sometimes it's in tribute, but like now it's a whole flesh-eating genital virus. Donovan, you were the pioneer for that.
Donovan,
you really were trailblazer. Donovan, no shame.
Like, I mean, we could sit here and talk all night about just like, how did this come to be?
Respectfully.
Like, who was Donovan? Is Donovan the guy who discovered it, or the guy who had it?
Caught it, right?
Yeah.
If y'all watch Crossing
Swords, look more into that. So,
and it's like, depending on when this got discovered, like, they were proud. I discovered something. Eureka! I found something. I'm naming it after me. Yo, that's a flesh-eating groin disease. I don't care. I found it.
Look what I found.
Mine.
Look what I found. Do you want me? Are you attracted? Look what I found.
Isn't this astonishing? That make me attractive. I found something for the first time.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I got completely where I was just like, you know what, this has to be the only topic of the night, is when I got to foul-smelling ulcers.
I'm sorry, I have an issue with smell. Like, I don't knock a whole lot of stuff. Like, you into it. Even people that are into like, smelly feet or smelly this or smelly that. Okay. But like, for me personally, smells, no.
It's like, a part of my sensory that turns me on.
Forget someone else, the smell on myself. No. No.
That is definitely a part of my sensory that turns me on. Maybe it's a kink because smells really like, ooh, yes.
I think there's actually a cologne line named Donovan, and I'm never going to be able to look at it the same way ever again.
You just ruined it, like, in a split second. Like, the spirit went out from all of it.
Guys that have their fucking Donovan cologne sitting on the thing are like,
make the ghost go out.
Damn it. Down the drain.
Could you imagine just being like, oh my God, your cologne smells so good. What is it? Donovan. Like, ooh.
Ew, why you gonna say it?
Like, no, we're good. Never mind.
Wait,
okay. Man, that's cool. All right, so that's it for the hot topics tonight. I just wanted to bring a quick little tidbit of information. Watch yourselves.
Sweet and quick. You usually have a nice long intro. And I get to sit back and relax before I get to talk again. Okay, all right. Thank you, though, Ken. Thank you for your hot topics. You're welcome. You always come with some really good stuff. All right. So we're changing it up tonight and going to bring you a PSA, A, P, B, right? Mm-hmm. Information. And what SafeWord is going to be the tribunal and break it down for you, right? So something that's been becoming a common theme in messages we get a lot is that we talk a lot about kink, okay? And a lot about the different aspects of being kinky, but something we don't talk about enough is how to be okay with your kinks and your fetishes.
Yes, and I think, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry to catch you. I got so excited, but I think most of us are really comfortable with communicating our kinks and telling our good stories and our successes about the situations for the most part, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people appreciate how we kind of celebrate the community and we embrace it with open arms, and we don't shed a taboo light. We kind of embrace it with open arms. We share all the wins and all the good experiences as well, right? But a lot of people, from what we're hearing a lot lately, I think we can all agree, but for the first time, people that have fetishes, they're getting excited about talking about them, but they're having a hard time finding ways to open up about their kinks, or maybe they've been shut down trying to express them in scene or with their partner, or maybe even in like a new relationship, and they may have a hard time bringing it up without feeling like ashamed or embarrassed. Like, have you guys heard anything like that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and like SafeWord's all about bringing you guys the facts, bringing you guys, solid information, stuff that you can take to the bank. So let us be the first ones to tell you that like your kinks and your fetishes aren't anything to be ashamed of. And we've heard a lot of people asking for like guidance and tips about how to even start this conversation, or how to even find a partner that's like open and willing enough to have these conversations. Something that we get asked a lot in other messages is, like what connections do you have like in my area, my neck of the woods that, I can be a little bit more open about, because trying to find something on my own is proving difficult. So I know it's something that we've touched on before, and I know we've had like small aspects of it come up in other lives, but I'd like to take this opportunity. I don't think we've ever really dedicated a full live to this.
No, we really haven't.
I think it's just as important.
Yeah, it really is. It is.
Right.
So I mean, we really haven't dedicated, an entire live to this. And it's been some questions that have come in. So, I mean, I thought it was really important that we all thought it was really important to kind of take a break from this and address it. And how can you make a funny video off of this? Right.
Right.
So to get things off, let's start by saying, really honestly, you should not be embarrassed at all for your kinks or your fetishes. You shouldn't be ashamed of them. You should not be judged for them. And that's why we're here. As long as two human adults are legally capable of consenting, I don't think there should be embarrassment or any kind of shame to be had around that. I mean, it's two consenting adults. If you want to explore, I just feel like a lot of things have been pulled away as we progress in age. We're no longer allowed to explore, play, and all that kind of thing. So, I mean, you really shouldn't be ashamed for it. And this is a safe space in which to do that. But the difficult part, of course, being finding someone to do those things with, or to consent to your fetish at all, right? So, and these can be difficult for a wide range of reasons. Either you get shamed outright by your partner. I mean, I know of a lot of relationships where, you bring something up and you get shamed by your partner, right? Or you think you found a real connection, but then they're not supportive or willing to try your kink. I mean, if you guys ever, seen that, I mean, I know I have as an intimacy coach and a relationship coach. Those are some things that are very common across the board that come into me. Right.
Or you've been exposed to something in one way or another. And sometimes you get unsure about how to bring it up or how to navigate that when you're in a new situation.
Well, I mean, I've even gotten messages about like, these long-standing relationships, you know, people that have been together for like 4, 6, 10 years, and they're trying to spice up their sex life. So they're trying to introduce some kink and BDSM aspects to their sex life, and the partner just isn't willing to, you know, go that route with them or engage in that with them.
Exactly. So, I mean, what are people supposed to do? I mean, that's like a real question. I mean, I've gotten some messages, and I'm not going to read them because I haven't gotten their permission, and I don't want to call it anonymous. You know what I'm saying? And make them more uncomfortable. I mean, than they already are with reaching out. So I'm not going to do either one of those, but there are a lot of things that they all have in common. So let's hear from the rest of the crew on what some of their opinions are and some of these more common issues. Like, okay, so what do you do when your partner is unwilling to explore your fetish with you, right? So say you had a spanking fetish, or maybe you had a foot fetish, and your partner wasn't willing to either spank or be spanked, or thought feet were gross and got turned off by touching feet or having their feet touched. Yeah. So, I mean, like, what would you do if your partner is unwilling to explore that fetish with you? Someone want to take that?
I'll go first because I'm a nerd. I would do research enough first so I could like not finesse, but be able to tactically navigate the conversation. So it's not a blind ploy like, what you think about me bending you over and spanking you? Like, what? Wait, we watching TV popcorn. Like, what is she talking about? But like being able to that would mess you up too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if you're not used to somebody acting in that character. Right. So find ways to tactically bring it up and, you know, kind of finesse or plant the seeds, not from a devious way, but from like just a standpoint of getting someone's mind open to it. So when you get to that place, it's like, okay.
Right.
Okay, we talked about it a couple times. Like, I said, okay, you showed me a couple, okay. I mean, yeah, you got to educate yourself so you can like navigate that conversation. I'm thinking opposed to it, like we can fix this. I guess that's the switch in me.
Yeah, we're gonna fix it. We're gonna work this out, but
education.
But I see Kane's eyebrows going.
I know.
You know when the eyebrows go.
Coaching me, you know,
for real. When you know when the eyebrows go, and he looks like Bert and Ernie over here, and just.
It's like doing the wave. I'm like, wait, hold on, sir.
It's like, oh wait, I'm saying something wrong. Okay, Mr. Marcos has something to say. Go ahead, mic drop.
No, that's me thinking. Like, that's the thought process as it going. No, like I have like a really overactive imagination, and when we talk about these scenarios, like I honestly imagine, you know, a couple going through these scenarios and what a conversation would look like, you know, and hell, in my rat's nest of a brain right now, like I'm even picturing in the living room that they're sitting in while they're trying to bring this up. So that's how far deep I get into these. And like when you were saying like finding casual ways to kind of bring it up and planting seeds and everything, it just, there's so much more to it that that in my mind is like going wrong in these scenarios, because it's like if you start trying to subtly drop hints or introduce this concept to your partner, you know, like how do they respond? Do they start to get like annoyed or start to feel cornered when, you know, the concept is just kind of being brought to them like almost on a daily basis? And then what happens if like they respond out of like the wrong emotion and decide to try this because, oh, you want to be spanked? Okay, fine. I'm tired of hearing about this. Let's go. You know, and now there's a situation where that individual probably isn't going to, you know, respect your safe word or have that negotiation conversation because, you know, there is so much more to it, but you're trying to just introduce the idea of it. So, I mean, you're not coming to your partner saying like, hey, I think it would be a really good idea if we got into some negotiations, set up some stuff, and, you know, because I really want to try spanking. You know, those conversations more or less go like, hey, I really want to try spanking.
Right. Yeah. Well, and like, and I kind of agree with Kane on this because, I mean, here's what we preach at SafeWord, right? Okay, you got to have communication and clear communication basis before you go into anything, but that's not how a perfect relationship works. Like you meet someone, sometimes you fall into these situations. So really, what do you do when you have this brooding fetish, and a fetish being something you need, right? We're gonna get into all this. It's coming. Relationship season is coming. So I mean, this is the beginning of it. But I mean, what do you do when you have that fetish and you can't even communicate that effectively to your partner? I don't personally think dropping hints is the right way to be about it. Like, even if you guys haven't had a very good communication basis from the door, that's when you should have some kind of connectivity level with your partner. It's your partner. You've been with them. I don't care if it's 5 months or 10 years. Okay. You've been with that person. You have some kind of connection. You've chosen to be monogamous or in this relationship, whatever.
You have a consistent pattern. So you're a partner.
So that's your partner. That's your A1. That's your number one boo. All right. There should be a point where you can look at your partner and go, hey, I really need to have a conversation with you. So not now. I understand there's things going on. Let me know when you have some free time to have a conversation. It's not that serious. We're not like gonna break up. It's nothing like that. Reassure them that it's nothing, like you're not doing anything wrong, but I do need to address some issues. And I just hope that we can both meet at the table. I mean, if that's where your communication basis starts off from that point, that's fine. But you want to try and make some kind of communication basis, because dropping hints, it can be seen from a man's perspective as nagging. And from a woman's perspective, it's like, I'm dropping the hint. Why the hell aren't you getting it? And
I'm thinking long-term when I say that, but it's a good point to make sure that you're straight up about it. And you don't have to make it serious. Like you said, you can make it enticing, especially if most of your partnership is based on being physical too.
Yeah. And it really depends on and that's what I was going to say. It depends on who you're dealing with and your dynamic.
There's levels to
it. If you guys want specific information on how to reach out and tell somebody about your fetish, I say you reach out to the description box below, because we'll help you out. Because it's literally, honestly, it's a description. Right. It's a situational basis. But I was just talking long term. You have some kind of connectivity. This is a relationship.
And another thing is, like, you don't want to, and we've talked about this before, is you don't want to bring it up in the heat of the moment. You don't want to bring it up in the throes of passion. You don't want to spring it on somebody kind of in that last minute scenario, because then again, like I said, you're not going through your negotiations. You're not having a conversation. You're not, describing, how this situation is really supposed to play out. You're not establishing a safe word. So you're kind of just in the moment. And that's where a lot of, either feelings or physical being can be hurt, because you're not, talking this out and you're not communicating about it. And man, communication. I mean, we could sit here and beat a dead horse all night. Communicate. So of course, that's the question that they're all asking, is like, how do you communicate that? I mean, there's a variety of different ways that you can bring this up. You can bring it up, on a casual, like on a dinner date or something, and just like, hey, so why don't you like talking about this? Like, help me to understand why this is a problem for you. Right. If I wanted to do something and you weren't willing to do it, but you also weren't willing to let me do it with anybody else, what would you suggest I do to, satisfy this urge? Like, you're supposed to be my partner. You're supposed to be who I do all of my things with. If you have that openness to your relationship, then of course you're going to communicate that, hey, I'm going to go find this somewhere else because you're not doing it. But if you're with a single partner and you're in a monogamous relationship, then you kind of have to play it out point blank period. Bring it up at dinner, bring it up at lunch, bring it up, in the mornings, on Saturdays when you're having those lazy days.
Okay. So I've got a question then real quick. Because we've all touched on the like long term, right? So what do you do if it's like a new relationship? Okay. And your partner makes fun of your fetish, or like, I don't know, doesn't take it seriously.
That's just a red flag. And hopefully you're not too invested in that relationship to, contemplate opportunities outside of that relationship, because you might be too excited to be in that relationship at first and think like, oh no, but we can work it out. Or one of the, hey ladies, how many times have you told yourself this? I can change him.
Yeah.
For real. I'm an intimacy coach. I got a couple of them. Yeah.
So I mean, it's if you get stonewalled when you bring up your kink, like within the first week, months of your relationship, then it's just like, All right, cool. Well, that was fun. And if this isn't something you can take seriously, then what's your friend? Does your friend take kink seriously? Like, what's his number?
Don't go that. Don't
No.
go that route. That is the worst
Zoltan.
advice ever. Zoltan on that one. Yeah.
No.
Let's. I wish I had my.
But you get the idea. I mean,
delete
entertain
that.
possibilities outside
Right.
of.
If you bring it up once or twice and it's not something that someone wants to even engage in or think about it, or they cringe when they say it, like that should be enough. Like, why press the issue on that response?
Well,
And you don't want to end up in a semi-permanent relationship or a long-term relationship where you're unsatisfied from the get-go.
Right.
Absolutely. That's it right there. Especially if it's just an entry level idea for you. Like, there's the tip of you getting outside of vanilla and they're not open to that. That should be flag on the plate. You're not going to be able to explore right there.
Yep, exactly. I mean, that's pretty much covered. I mean, if you can't be who you are, and this is something that you need in order to be happy within your life, why would you make that a concession? A concession is something small, like, I don't feel like I should have to take out the trash, but like the other partner in the relationship never takes out the trash, so you take out the trash, you know,
or
what I'm
even
saying?
a step further.
But that's not something that you sit there and go, okay, I'm going to make a concession. And
or like babies per se. If you're dating somebody, if they're saying that in month 1 or 2, why would you continuously stay in that situation if that's like already off the table? Because then you're gonna have a pressure situation. Like, who wants that?
Who wants that? Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
do yourselves a favor, figure it out before you move in.
Right. Exactly. Seriously, like, figure it out before you take that.
Figure it out before you make any more big
communicate.
Mm-hmm. Before you get to month 6, at least entertaining something, get those ideas out there. And if it's not checking the boxes, then hit the road.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, like, the kink world it's a very big thing. Like, and it's a piece of a lot of people. Like, it's something that people need is their kink. So if you're expressing your kink and your partner's making fun of you, that, like Kane said, it's a red flag. Like, back the heck away.
Right.
Like, I mean, especially if you can't sit there and go, hey, I'm really being serious. Are you really making fun of this? Like, if that's not even a conversation to be had, then just let it go. Just move on. There's plenty of fish in the sea. All right. So Miss Sasha, I know you had a question for us.
Yes. So, okay. So when I was looking at stuff, I didn't mean to laugh, or I don't want to make fun of anything. So let's say you have a fetish when it comes to like someone's overall appearance in general, be it like height, thickness, body part, anything like that.
Hair, kinky hair. Yeah.
All of that. When does it get to a point where like you're thinking about these things and maybe not communicating the best, and like in your mind you start to think like, are they getting mad or upset? Like, when does that become like a line that you're teetering?
What do you mean? Like, if you have a partner and
okay, so you get into a relationship with a partner who fits the things that you like, and then you find out that it's your kink. And they get mad and they think that it's the only reason that you're with them. So how does that work? You're into something, you pick a person for a reason, and then you tell them that like, oh, it's a fetish of mine. Like, how does one feel and how do you go about that?
So I don't know if it's like the same thing that you're talking about, but I actually had one of these like forums that I was reading about trying to find like entertaining like kink fails and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Found this one where this guy had an Asian girl fetish.
Okay.
And ended up getting into a relationship with an Asian girl.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on she found like his porn stash that was all, like Asian fetish porn.
Based. Oh no.
Yes.
And so she flipped out, and it was like, dude came home from work and it's laid out across the table, and he's just like, oh shit.
What's this?
And
like this for me or because
yeah,
I'm
like
Asian?
this chick's got bags packed and everything. And so the problem that she had was like, was any part of their relationship ever real, or was she just like a fetish?
Right.
And so the guy,
or fantasy.
Yeah. So, and the guy was like that. He honestly
race.
did care about the person and that he was planning on getting engaged. You know, he was going to propose.
But she saw it as nothing else but a fetishism, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And so like,
yeah.
I mean, it would be the same thing if you like had, because I know there's lots of people that have fetishes with like that have to deal with feces or vomit. So like, how would you, deal with that? Like,
whoa.
Well, for real, like,
damn, that was
like, okay. It really wasn't. It wasn't. It was a huge. No, it wasn't. Like, okay, look, because. Okay, well, that's a deep dive. We'll get into that on the Patreon. Maybe I'll show you. I'll explain to you how I connected the two because it's almost the same thing. I mean, not really because you're dating for a relationship, but you're like your fetishes, your kinks. You know what I'm saying? And how do you?
It's more in like the unique side of it.
Yeah, like, but there are fetishes out there. I mean, people play in water sports. People play in all these different types of fetishes. It's not that major, but then like. If you're I know people that fetishize people for
feet, ankles, their
or like a type of bodily fluid that might come out of that person. Like I've had people say that kind of thing, Yeah. So I mean,
and so that's kind of something that like I've always been kind of like curious about for a different kind of reason.
Okay.
It's like, okay, so let's say, for instance, you're into water sports, probably your best avenue to be able to engage in that kind of activity. And it's kind of, and I'm uneducated in this. So, I mean, like if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, so don't burn me at the stake for, my opinion or my thought process here. But I can imagine if like you're into water sports, like that's not so much of like a wide open community as like other fetishes might be.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of looking online, you're kind of, looking at forums, trying to find, and it's like those things where they kind of like hot topic or keyworded into certain posts that, like they have their own lingo, they have their own code words, they have their own, way of communicating. So that way it seems innocent enough online and, you can actually prove if you're serious about it, if like the vernacular behind it.
Even in descriptions on like dating sites and stuff, you can see some of those acronyms and stuff.
But like, how often does that play out where it's just like you can actually see yourself being in a relationship with the person that you end up meeting online? It's like you're not getting a Tinder profile on that. You're not getting, like a photo set. You're not getting, I mean, like you're kind of getting whatever you get. It's kind of, and I imagine it being kind of like a crapshoot.
Yeah.
It's like what shows up is what shows up. And, if you're into that kink, then, it's, any port in a storm. But as far as finding like a long lasting, like real connection and a loving relationship that you can explore that with, it's like, how do you go about finding, like there's no Tinder profile for
there's not like a Tinder
like unique
directory.
Yeah.
All you kinksters come here to
there's no directory.
That's one of like the 150 questions that match.com doesn't ask. Like
we need a dating app for kinksters. We really do.
Or add a kink button. Are you into kink extreme? Are you open?
Right. Are you open?
Beginner,
exploration?
vanilla.
Yeah. You just have your BDSM test on there, percentages.
Just an idea.
But that's honestly that's what FetLife was supposed to be, was like a Facebook for kinksters, but it turned into something else. I mean, like I know a lot of people don't. I mean, I know there are certain communities where, like in certain cities, where you can make the community based within kink, but for the most part, FetLife isn't like the best place to jump into the kink community. It might be a good starting point to learn about it, but that's it. We don't have like a dating app.
Right. It would be nice if they added it into like one of the questions you answered for a profile, just to like you don't have to post it, but it would heighten your chances of meeting someone who answered that question better with all, that would be cool. Just not you.
Yeah, it's a SafeWord might bring it to you. Okay.
Well, and like FetLife, even that BDSM test that we took, water sports weren't a part of that. Like vomit fetish wasn't a part of that. Feces fetish wasn't a part of that. So I mean, that's not even gauge. That's not even giving you a percentage or a gauge based
on your extreme fetishes. Yeah,
and that had a multitude of like fetishes and deep dives to check into. Yeah, good point.
And that's speaking to like a completely different audience. Like if those guys are watching, they're like, okay, finally, like let me know about something that I can relate to and personally, engaged in.
Right.
So how do you I don't know. Like, I'm honestly looking for, I don't know what feedback you guys got, but looking for messages, looking for some people to shout out, like, what do they do to, and you don't even really have to expose your fetish out there like that, but I mean, like, what are the avenues, what are the approaches, what are the methods
And
to finding those communities?
Right. And most people that I talk to that are in the kink community, I mean, they really are just like, yo, it's vanilla dating sites. And then like I kind of date and then kind of get comfortable and then kind of, it's like being
hard to feel your way through that.
90s. You're waiting to kind of like come out of the closet with people. It's like, it's weird. It's weird to me. It's weird
acceptable in certain things too, like in like the LGBTQ community and stuff like that. It's accepted that you're embracing all of yourself, and it's so hard. And I guess the mainstream,
yeah, because like
world to express those things
out, it's different.
So again, overactive imagination, just like running wild.
I know he's off in another land while we're talking. He was like.
No, I was just thinking, it was like, oh yeah, and it was like, there's like different parties, different events, and I was just thinking, like, all right, so I've heard of like the wet rooms at orgies, where stuff like water sports and things like that, kind of go down. And I'm just, how often do those events take place? Like, if you're somebody who's really active in that community, I mean, is that like an annual thing? Is that something they do monthly? I mean, how do you find? And if I'm pretty sure there are, situations, parties, fetish parties, orgies that happen, all across the country that do that. But those are kind of, I can imagine they're a little bit more exclusive. So like, what are the avenues to kind of get in with a group so that way you can satisfy that urge, that you can, get into that fetish and explore? And I don't know. I think at that point you're kind of done exploring and you're kind of just trying to get engaged in it. So like, how does that plan out? Like, how does that play?
Right.
I don't know. Since joining SafeWord, I know I've reached out a lot in the community. There's people on Instagram and different troops, so that would be a good place to look, and you can kind of vet their following and stuff like that. Heck, there may be even Facebook groups out there, maybe some people on Reddit. If you can vet those people appropriately and get credible information, like try to vet some people out in your community. We here for you. We can help you figure it out.
Right. Point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
The rest is up to you.
Right.
All right. So I've gotten a couple of messages, and I first, like when I got the first or like 2 or 3, I didn't really think too much of it because it was something to kind of address, but it didn't seem like a really common issue. Like, it didn't seem like that big of a problem. It was just like, I'm helping this one person. But as more and more people started reaching out, sending these messages, I realized like, oh shit, a lot of people really need to hear this. But what do you do if you and your partner are both into kink, but you have different fetishes? And so you kind of create like you take a concession to explore one another's fetishes. And then like, as time progresses, all of a sudden your fetish is becoming unimportant and your partner only wants to engage in their fetish. They're not taking you seriously. They're not, participating with you. And when they do, they're making you feel like it's a chore, like I'm doing you a favor. It's, I don't want to do this. And they're making it known. So what do you do when like your fetish is kind of getting cast aside in favor of your partner's? Because I know a lot of people, will do anything that they want for anything that their partner wants, like that's just who they are in a relationship, like I'm about making this person happy. But what if like you just got to kind of take your own happiness into consideration? Like, what if you're just getting pushed to the backside? How do you deal with that?
I would say that would be a good point to like reestablish your roles, like take a step back and like renegotiate things and like have a conversation depending on what type of scene you have. Hey, thought we talked about this. Let's see where we're going. Are you taking a more dominant role? Am I taking more submissive role? Like, what are we doing here so I can reacclimate myself so I'm not getting like triggered? Because this is how, go through those type of like good motions and, take a step back and reset things so it doesn't get to a bad state and you can't bring it back,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what Sasha's saying is very correct. And here's something that I'm going to mention, because I would have said the same thing, like take a step back, have a conversation. But I know there's a lot of people that end up in relationships and they, they end up there, or those communication bases weren't there in the beginning. So trying to put them in place now are difficult or hard. One person wants to communicate, one doesn't, whatever it is, those are the complications that you find in a relationship. So my suggestion is always like, if you can't communicate, is this the relationship you want to be in? Because if you try to sit there and say, hey, I need to have this conversation with you. Hey, I really need to talk to you. Hey, there's some things that we need to discuss. Hey, and that person is consistently brushing you off.
It's overlooked. Yeah.
It's overlooked.
You're disregarded. Yeah.
So then, I mean, who's hurting in this relationship? It's not that person. It's not that person. You're trying to communicate. That person is brushing you off. They get to go along with their daily lives and continue as,
and you're carrying. You're carrying.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're just going to start feeling used at that point.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, you really need to be able to take a step back and say, is this good for me? Is this something that I'm okay with? The fact that I can't communicate this, or even like, let's say somebody's watching this right now and they're going, communicate, talk to my partner.
What's that?
Honey, that's a red flag. That's what that is. That's a red flag. If you're sitting back and going, I can't, no, that's not even an option. No. Me pulling my partner to the side is not an option. That's when
say, I can't do that. No.
Right. That's when I have my clients, I go, okay, so we need to do some self-work, because you really do. You have to do some self-work.
Why are we here and how did we get here?
Yep.
At what point did you concede to respect somebody else more than yourself?
Right.
How'd you get lost?
Sometimes put somebody else before yourself. And here's the deal. If you're putting somebody else before yourself, how the hell are you giving? Because at this point you're giving anything that's left of you, because you are giving from an empty cup.
In relationship, in scene. Both. Across the board.
Yeah.
All right. Say you have more of a unique type of fetish, maybe something that isn't mainstream or isn't publicized or, romanticized in any type of facet. Or maybe you think it's something that you can't necessarily casually bring up with your partner or someone you're dating and trying to get to know. Or maybe something that you maybe wouldn't want to talk about in public, like you were talking about, Miss Aurora, a vomit fetish or a feces fetish or, a gas fetish or a smelly feet fetish. Like, how does one navigate being vulnerable and expressing like a deeper, more taboo fetish outside of the already taboo world?
Man,
don't get so quiet.
No, I was just reading, or because like I said, we did a ton of research before we started this. I had seen one where this one chick, she was completely turned on by the sound of a man vomiting, like getting sick. And it was everything, like the detail that she went into to describe, what exactly about it that was arousing for her. I mean, it's everything from at the start of it saying that their stomach hurt, that piques her interest. And seeing them retch was like, turn on city for her. And everything all the way to after they're done vomiting, like just, how you got that glow. You got that thin layer. You got that thin layer of sweat and the veins, you're kind of red. That was
like you ran a marathon.
That was an appetizing sight for her. So not so much that she wanted to I think later on, if I remember correct, like she had never been in a situation where it was possible, but she fantasized about being vomited on by a man. But she had never spoken to a partner about it. She'd never engaged in it, and she had no idea how to go about it. It was just one of those fleeting fancies, just, I'll never know, but I think it would be awesome kind of scenarios. So if you're asking me, like, how do you go about getting from the fantasy aspect of like those more unique fetishes, again, like I said, I think it's like those online forums and you kind of get what you get. But I think that's what kind of deters some people from reaching out, and what makes some people kind of lose their interest in that fetish because of what shows up on those online forums.
Well, the
Yeah.
responses most definitely, and the judgment. I mean, just social construct puts those judgments there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, so how do you sit there and say you like these things when you've been told since you were 1, 2, 3 that it's icky, it's nasty, like don't touch.
Right.
You know?
Or anything that comes out of your body is
Right.
nasty. And in other countries, like sometimes that's just like a common fetish. It's something common to bring up because it's more known. Like it is.
Yeah, it
so
definitely
true.
is.
Like
There's a
Indian
lot of
culture,
stuff.
German culture, you know, they're so much more open to understanding it's natural. Your body's natural, the things you do are natural. So it's just
and you could be turned on by those natural things. I mean, it's just what it is. What it is. Me personally, not
couples
so much,
are comfortable with poots. Like
yeah.
if you don't poot around me, you don't love me.
You don't love
if
me,
you can't poot with the door open and I can't sit there and talk to you, why are you doing your business? You don't love me. So it's like if that is something you share with your partner, you may hey, some people, you know. But it's okay if you could do that. Then maybe that even if you've observed that in your relationship, refer to this video and try to like engage in that. If you know, like that, we poop with the door open. So you know, stuff.
But it's like, how do you make that transition from like, hey, if you don't poop with the door open, you don't love me, to like, hey, you want to do that on me, like.
Well, you poop with the door open.
I got a thing, girl. I got a thing. I got a thing.
I love you, girl.
I love you, girl.
I love you.
I love you.
I love
all
every
part of you. I just want it all.
And if you take that as anything other than that person loves the hell out of you.
I mean, the hell out of you.
if the pause in the month isn't a problem to you, if you know being in the shower together and someone using the restroom,
and that really shouldn't be a problem, especially if you've been with that person for a minute. It should not be a problem. Okay, go ahead, just boys, let your guard down. Right. It's okay.
If you peed on your girl's feet in the shower and you think it's funny and she lets you, it's a thing.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
I could see a lot of guys just like, hey, I'm peeing on her feet in the shower and everything, and then the girl says, aim higher, like.
What?
You missed.
You missed.
Yeah, like backing up in the corner of the shower, like, oh, hold on.
She's like, stop it. Why do I do that? So nasty. Ew. Yeah, that. Very that.
Yeah, that.
Oh
stop it. Stop.
Girl, you're gonna have people questioning you on yellow too. Shoot.
No. Hey,
she's like, hard limit. Zoltan.
Yeah. Y'all did it.
Yeah, we were talking about it. We weren't. I wasn't saying we had to rush off. I got the house call in 20 minutes. Come on.
You. Sarcasm.
Happy clouds in this thing. Okay.
Oh goodness. Just happy little trees.
If you go to a chick's house and she's got a tarp for a window cover.
Oh my goodness.
It's bad.
Saran wrap.
Kathy Bates in this thing. No, ma'am. Zoltan.
Zoltan.
Hit her with the, I'ma head out. Okay. So my Apple Watch is going off that I don't have. So I'm gonna just
like, oh man, like I gotta answer that call. I don't hear your phone. I do. All right, so I think we brought up a lot of cool stuff tonight. There were some things that I wanted to address before we take off for the night. You know, we got a short live, but first and foremost, one of the things that I was supposed to bring up right after the hot topics, but I kind of spaced that, was I got a message from somebody upset about me addressing our audience as deviants.
Ooh, okay.
So
do tell.
Right. Why?
First and foremost, buckle up, Buttercup. You about to get educated. So
King gonna bring you some knowledge. He gonna learn you today.
A lot of things within the kink and BDSM community, and we've taught again, you know, like we could almost just record half the shit that we've said before and just replay it for you guys now, and just it matches a ton of different concepts.
Yeah.
The negative connotation, the ideas, the negative imagery that you see about kink and BDSM, all of these things are all playing into these thoughts and mentalities that you know, oh, we shouldn't be treated this way, or we shouldn't be treated that way, or that shouldn't be appropriate, or anything like that. So, or that's not widely culturally acceptable. That's not societally acceptable. Fuck all that noise. Like we said, your kinks and your fetishes aren't anything for you to be ashamed of. So whatever you're into, you're into. So if you are into something other than vanilla sex, then you are by definition a deviant. And that is why we address our audience as deviants, because
Clinical
it's something
definition.
Yep.
it's something that I'm really hoping to try and help people be proud about. Okay.
Yep.
So one of my favorite lines from, you know, that really popular television show that everybody was on about for, you know, years on end, Game of Thrones: wear your insults like armor and it can never be used to harm you. So if you're
Exactly.
uncomfortable being called a deviant, then there's certainly something that you really have to look into within yourself to figure out why that's bothering you, why that's upsetting you, why that is a trigger for you. But I just want to read the definition for you really fast. A deviant is someone who departs from the usual or accepted standards, especially in social or sexual behavior. Someone whose behavior falls far outside of society's norms. And in every definition that you will look up, a common theme is norms, standards, acceptable, and usual.
Yes.
So if you are anything, if you step outside of the norm, if you defy the standards, if your wants and desires aren't so much deemed acceptable by, you know, societal standards, if it's outside of the usual, then that is an insult to you when everybody's trying to pigeonhole you into one aspect. What sex should be, what your sexuality should look like, should just be missionary position for reproductive purposes. Nope, I want some pleasure out of this too. So if you ever, what's up?
Can I piggyback real quick? And that rounds out, like, this has been an experiment in psychology for a long time, and it's a nod to people who are clinically, you know, put away because they have unnormal desires. Like, you can sit around and freely call each other deviants, but 40s, 50s, like, how long have people been put away for psychiatric disorders just because they like
sexual deviant was a psychological disorder.
It was a disorder that caused
like
lobotomies.
Like Kane is saying, to take us out, like, be careful how you classify other people. You know what I'm saying? In any way, shape, or form. We all deviants in some way, shape, or form. We just talking about it.
Right. So, we out here talking about it. So wear your pride, wear that badge of pride.
So for like all of these guys that are just, you know, kind of getting into it or barely figuring out that there's more to it than vanilla, like all of these guys in like their 20s, their 30s, really, if you guys don't know, electroshock therapy is when they used to put 2 electrodes on your temples and ran a current and increased voltage. And that was originally adapted and patented as a method to cure the disturbia of masturbation. They thought masturbation was a disease. They thought it was evil. And if you engaged in it, you know, there was something psychologically wrong with you. And their idea for a treatment, what would cure you, was to literally microwave your brain.
Yep.
In hopes that it would help you snap out of this behavior or cripple you mentally so severely that you were incapable of even carrying a conversation. But you also weren't touching yourself. So they called it a success and they continued to do it for decades.
Yep.
So in that respect and that kind of, and that I kind of I pay homage to that, you know, that's honoring those people who kind of came before you and suffered these horrible consequences in order for you to enjoy the sexual freedoms that you have today. Yep, you know, these guys were locked up. The chastity belt, there was an Iron Maiden style that was meant to make the genital region so irritated and so uncomfortable that you wouldn't want to touch that area. That was a legally patented, you know, method of treatment for sexual deviance. Yeah. So if you guys are doing anything, if you guys are into the community, if you guys have a fetish, if you have a kink, if you know, do anything other than missionary, you are a deviant and you should be proud. So that's my little spiel on that.
Yes, I love it. Yes. Yay. Thank you. Thank you for
clarifying. Hopefully I answered that person's question.
Thank you for clarifying what we call people part of the crew, deviants, why we do it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Wear that badge of honor with pride. Right. Okay. That's what we're here for, is to make it a little bit easier for you to coast in life. Okay. It's somewhere place where you can have some understanding.
Freedom. Yeah. Yes. Celebrating. Thank you.
And the other thing tonight, before we head out, Good news, everybody. Exciting stuff like on the horizon. Like we've told you guys for weeks and weeks and weeks,
Told
even
y'all,
last year,
stick with
we
us.
said we were going somewhere. We said we were going to be doing something with this. We told you we had plans to make this, a global phenomenon, just everybody's going to know SafeWord. It's going to be a household name. We manifested that. We drilled it in. We believed it, with every fiber of our being. And today, happy to announce that we are taking the first step in, achieving that goal. And that is to say that we have been recognized and are looking at partnering with a network who is now going to be sponsoring or providing endorsement, if you will, for the videos that we produce and the content that we create. So, they want us to mention and throw out there and give a shout out to them, just give them their love, let them know that they're the ones who are helping support your local or, your favorite content platform, SafeWord. So tonight is brought to you in association with Support District Radio Network and Support District Television. That is it for us tonight, everybody. Thank you so much for joining SafeWord on YouTube. We hope we answered a couple of questions, hope that we helped some people out. Have that conversation this weekend.
Yes.
Figure it out, have some plans, and
Get
let
into
us
it.
Real quick, Miss Sasha.
Yes.
I promised Roy I would do this before we got off, and we got people watching, so they're looking for the answer as well. Okay, where the hell is your test? Because everybody wants to know what your percentage is with Brat. They're all commenting.
You
yes,
guys,
we want to know. Brat, what? Brat,
what? Okay, I got you guys.
So if you want to
know,
you have to join our Patreon. That's where the test is going to be at. Okay.
No, you need to put that on your IG. You said that you were
I'm
going to
put it on my IG.
And we
I may make a special video drop for y'all and just go through it with y'all.
Roy started the
I love
convo.
that y'all are interested in knowing what more about Miss Sasha because I'm the buddy little baby on the group. But I got you guys. I promise. I haven't forget you guys. I always pay up.
Yep.
Always pay up. I got you guys.
All right.
Love you guys.
That's it for us tonight. King, just say I love you and then we out so I can click it off.
All right. Hey, everybody. We love you guys. Take care. Have a good weekend. Stay kinky and always remember your safe word. Good night, everybody. Good night.